everyone, today in this video I'm going to be checking out the Sceptre U32 4K Ultra HD monitor. Sceptre did send me the sample, but I want you to know that any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this monitor or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's a look at the retail box and packaging. From the front you'll see our key tech specs here: 4K resolution, IPS display, blue light shift for those of you that are interested, 70 Hz refresh rate. Then you'll see on this side, they walk you through some of the key tech specs and your ports. All of that right there, your different input and output options. Then you'll see on the back of the box, our information from the front repeats itself. And then on this side, they walk you through the included contents. Now, let's go ahead, let's open this up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents besides the panel itself. We have our product literature consisting of a full user guide and manual, 1-year warranty information, and their customer service and contact card. Next, you'll see 2 pieces of hardware kits here. We have our stand screws, and we have some standoff bracket screws if we want to use our own VESA mount compatible stand. You'll see a couple different cable options here. We have our power supply cable and our power supply brick. Here's our power adapter there. You can look at the specs if you're interested. So this is an external power supply. We have 1 DisplayPort cable included. There's the DisplayPort cable with the cap removed. Press to release. We have our famous one and only Sceptre Phillips head screwdriver. And then lastly, we have our stand in 2 pieces. It's got nice metal construction for both the base and our support arm here. You'll see how that goes into the monitor. Just hooks right in, snaps in place, and we have a release on the back if needed to remove. Our screws will go into the bottom of this to fasten together. You'll see 5 feet there to rest on a nice flat surface. Now let's look at the monitor. Looking at the back of the monitor, you'll see the Sceptre logo and branding up in the corner. Looks like we got some LED lights here. Our stand mount option, we do have VESA mount capabilities as well with this. You'll see down here additional product information, color-coded input and output ports. So we have our DC in for our power, 2 HDMI 2.0 ports, 2 DisplayPort 1.4 ports, and our audio out. Take a look at those. You'll see on the very bottom here, our 2, looks like our speaker grill covers, and we have our 5 different menu control buttons. Get a feel for the thickness of this monitor. Thinner here and gets a little bit thicker towards the back. We'll give you that side profile here. You'll look at it from the top. It'll be more pronounced than the bottom. Got our slots and our design here. Some additional venting. And now we'll look at it from the very front. We have our protective cover on it still. Sceptre's logo and branding right here. HDMI sticker. All of our different menu control buttons. And you'll see if we gently pull this back, you'll notice on our display here, look at how thin and slim that plastic bezel is. There we go. That's where the screen starts. If you see my fingernail right there, basically the length of your fingernail that you would clip off is where the screen's going to go to. But I do want to point out, now look at the tip of my thumb. That's where the pixels actually stop. So it's got almost bezel-less design, but you'll still have some pixels that will stop to give you a black border around the sides and the top. So that's where the pixels are going to stop on the screen, and that's where the plastic for the bezel stops on the display. The bottom right here, it kind of has like this brushed metal aluminum finish. I do believe, though, that's still just plastic. It's just molded and sculpted to look that way, which is neat. So I like that finish. It has a more premium feel, even though it's not gonna actually, hopefully not, you know, add that premium upcharge to it. Now let's go ahead, let's get this set up and try it out. All right, so we got the monitor all set up. The stand has been installed. It's plugged in, powered on, and connected to our computer. I wanted to showcase the stand so you can see its functionality. It's very limited. We only have the ability to tip it either a little bit backwards, that's our max tilt back, and a good amount forward so we can adjust the tilt down, but it's gonna be at this fixed height. There's no height adjustment, there's no swivel, rotation, or anything else with the included stand. Now, with it powered on, you'll notice at this screen, we're getting everything that's advertised. So 3840 by 2160, that's going to be our full 4K resolution, and we're getting our max refresh rate of 70 Hertz. If you're connected via HDMI, you'll get 4K resolution, but only 60 Hertz. So make sure if you want that extra 10 Hertz use the included DisplayPort cable. Now we're going to go over some of the menu settings. Now Sceptre does a really good job with the included user guide and manual walking you through all the settings and explaining each feature. In this case, I want to bring the menu up, so you'll see our little quick icons here. Then we have our full menu. We can press the menu button again to look at all the different settings. Also at the top, you may notice we have our resolution, refresh rate, sync on or off. You get that idea there. But they have built-in descriptions even on the side of each item that you're looking at. But our quick start is going to give us our source, our blue light, our adaptive sync, backlight, different presets, volume, and aspect ratio. So that's great that that's right there. Next, you'll see we have our picture settings, backlight, preset, aspect ratio, and sharpness. We'll keep moving right along. We have our color settings here. We can adjust our color temp, gamma, you see tint, saturation, black level equalizer, and blue light again. Moving right along, we have our system settings. We can adjust overdrive, adaptive sync. We have our back cover light. We have our sleep mode, language, OSD positioning. You'll see OSD positioning again. We have our OSD timer, transparency, volume, mute. Then we have our reset options for that, and then back up to the top. And then further down will take us right back to our quick start option. So very brief overview of the menu, but everything's clearly laid out for you with even a brief description off to the right-hand side. All right, so depending on which preset you're in, you'll notice that we're able to change the image just ever so slightly. So I'm cycling through them very quickly so you can tell how this scene's gonna look through all the different options. But we have Eco, FPS, RTS, Standard, User, Movie, and back to Eco. So depending on the type of content you're consuming, you might want to just play around with this setting very quickly. And there's the user option, so you can really fine tune it exactly how you'd want it to look. We'll leave it on the standard setting for now. They all look very similar, but again, there's just some slight tweaks that you'll see depending on which one you choose. Now we're looking at our first UFO test, which is just a motion test to give us different FPS values at our 70 Hertz refresh rate. Again, we got our full 4K resolution here. Typically with Sceptre monitors, we get 75 Hertz as our minimum baseline. In this case, this monitor is 70 Hertz. Most monitors on the market, though, start at 60 Hertz. So in this case, we're still above, I would say, the industry average. But when you're playing games, if your system can push it, you want that higher FPS value to hopefully match your refresh rate. So in this case, that's why you'll see we jump up from 18 FPS to 35, 35 FPS to 70, and we're at that 70 Hertz refresh rate. If we could go from 70 to 144 and 144 Hertz, we'd have even smoother footage and gameplays. This is most important to anybody with a lot of moving graphics and motions like you're playing games. That's why you want to see those higher values. So it's not always just marketing. There is a reasoning behind it here where it will improve the motion on your display. So again, 70 FPS at 4K at 70 Hertz. That UFO looks a lot better than our sputtering 35 FPS UFO and then our 18 FPS UFO. So again, the higher the better if your system can allow it and if your monitor supports it. Now the test everybody always wants. This is the UFO ghosting test. You'll want to get a pursuit camera and track with it, and you can capture stills of the UFO to really quantify the ghosting here. Visually looking at this test, it will be noticeable. So you will be able to notice ghosting even if we're just watching it go across the screen. Doesn't matter which color, I'm seeing it on all of them, but it really stands out for me with this background. You'll see, I think the biggest thing for me is that just the whole UFO really isn't even in that much focus. So I know it's a UFO, but as I'm looking at it, the detail is pretty absent in how it's moving across. Now it's smeared, but it's actually not that bad with the tail end. I definitely have seen a lot worse, even from within Sceptre's own monitor lineup, but we're just seeing a lack of detail and clarity overall in that movement and motion. Now you're looking at a full black screen on this panel. I turned off all the lights here. We really had a critical eye trying to identify any backlight bleeding, and in this case, any IPS glow. It does appear we have a little bit of IPS glow in both of these corners. Again, that's going to depend on the angle that you're looking at. If you're looking at it dead on, it's going to usually go away. But if you're looking at it off to the side, you may notice some right here. If you're in a black room, pitch black room and you're looking at a full black screen, you might notice a little bit there. None of this has any effects that we've been able to notice on anything we're doing with the display. It would just be in that particular environment, and even then it's just going to be a little bit lighter in those two areas for your blacks. That's it. So anyways, nothing detrimental to the image quality or anything like that. I'd say having some backlight bleed or IPS glow is going to be unavoidable at monitors usually at this price point. But what is unusual, we've covered quite a few monitors here. This is one of the first ones I think we've finally suffered some shipping damage or something along those lines. This one has an array of green pixels on the screen. You won't be able to see it here. Maybe we'll throw an image up so you'll be able to potentially tell. But we have this little L going across the top. I can't even see that one right now, but I can still see the pixels right here on the side. I only noticed that with it being completely dark and looking at a black screen, but really interesting that we have some sort of internal damage on this particular sample unit. So hopefully yours fared a lot better, but just want to point that out with our particular sample. That's what we're seeing here. We'll see if it affects anything else throughout this process, but it hasn't been noticeable until this test. Moving right along to the color accuracy of this particular monitor, Sceptre claims 100% sRGB, and using DisplayCal here with our own testing tools, we got 99.6% sRGB coverage, so close to what they advertised. In regards to our sRGB volume, we got 138%. Moving right along, Adobe RGB coverage 79.9% and 95.1% volume. And then for our DCI P3 coverage, we're showing 93.1%, and for that volume, we're showing 97.8%. I think a lot of that just has to do with this being an IPS panel versus your VA or your TN, where you tend to get that better color experience. In light of all of our technical tests, I thought we'd just have some fun browsing the web so you can get a feel for everyday use, consuming this monitor to maybe watch your favorite videos, read your favorite news articles and site publications, and even do a little bit of shopping. So this is YouTube pulled up right here. We're looking at their trending page. Get a feel for how responsive everything is as we scroll here. Very clear, easy to read up close and from an angle. I mean, look at the angle I'm at with this IPS. The viewing angles are top notch, especially for a larger 32-inch display like this. Everything's really clear and crisp, whether you're looking directly at it or off to the side. So happy with that. Very easy to browse and find the content that we're looking to consume. I'll show you now with The Verge pulled up, a popular tech blog. Let's just click the first article here and you'll see different titles, images, colors, all the paragraphs. I mean, everything looks really nice, clear, crisp. So really like looking at text on this monitor. Stands out. You might not see it as much or as well with the camera pointed at the screen, but you will definitely notice in person looking at it. And then lastly, our favorite e-commerce site. Look at this here. We could do some shopping and browse all of our favorite stuff here directly on Amazon. So pretty neat, looks great, whether you're consuming, again, videos, or you're reading, browsing the news, staying up to date, or doing a little bit of shopping. Now we're testing out the built-in speakers. We currently have them at max volume right here. We're streaming the song Dripping with Ice by Music Chef. Music Chef is home to stream-safe music for content creators. So listen in. They're definitely rear firing. They're not going to be super loud if you can't tell, because I can easily speak and talk over them. In fact, if I'm not talking with the way the microphone's configured, I don't think you will really be able to hear them at all. So maybe you can capture some of that there. But again, I always say I'd rather have the speakers and not need them than need the speakers and not have them. So maybe you're just need it for a quick little console hookup and you want to play a game or two, no big deal. But if you can, you definitely would still want to get your own headset, external speakers, or things along those lines to give you a better audio experience. But again, I'm just grateful at this price point with this particular display that Sceptre even gives us speakers. All right, so on the back of the monitor from the menu, we have a couple options here for our light modes. The first one we have is going to be our steady solid color option. The second one's going to be more breath-like here. You'll see we'll transition to that one now. It's going to kind of just gently transition smoothly between the different colors. So you can choose your effect, and then we can actually have a couple different color options here. So let's go down, we will look at what we're able to control. So the spectrum will show them all and cycle through them, or we can pick and choose the colors right here, red, green, blue, you get the idea. We'll just keep cycling through, and then we have yellow, and we're back to spectrum showing all of them, but I can quickly toggle through them again right there for you. So if you don't want them on, you can also turn all the lights off. But cool little feature that they have RGB lights on the back of this display. Next up, it's time to test out the input lag on this monitor. Now keep in mind, input lag is different from response time. Response time is the amount of time it takes the monitor or the pixels to change from one color to another. So in this case, this has a 5 millisecond response time measured G to G. That's going to be gray to gray. Input lag is basically the delay or lag between when a command or a key is issued, the signal is being transmitted, and when it's being displayed on the screen. So that's important if you're gaming out there. You want to see the input lag be as low as possible. So let's see what we get. All right, so looking at our first value, just with the way monitors are configured, this is going to be our lowest value. We're showing around 1.7 milliseconds, give or take. That's actually really good for Sceptre monitors. Typically, we don't see a monitor below 1 millisecond with our testing. Sceptres usually come in the mid to high teens, so that's great to see. This middle value should be around the mid 8s. We're coming in right around 9, not a big deal, looks pretty good. And then now let's go to our bottom value. We'll see what we're able to get here. So 16.3 is what we're showing right there, so not bad. But it's great to see a respectable score up at that top for our input lag coming in, under 2, right near 1.5. Since this monitor has RGB, it's gotta be good at gaming, right? We're gonna be taking a look at some gameplay footage across Forza 5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Borderlands 3 to see how it looks playing some popular titles. So now let me share with you my final thoughts after using this display. When I'm assessing the market right now at the time of this video, there's nothing else that comes close to the value that this monitor is bringing you. Typically, it would be competing with Samsung and LG, even some Dell monitors. Those tend to only have VA panels, not IPS. And they're all going to be more expensive than this monitor. Yes, it's going to be a couple of bucks, but you'll have to weigh what is most beneficial to you. Some of those might have a better stand than this one, some might not. Some won't have RGB, some will. Some will have built-in speakers, some won't. So there's a lot of things that you just have to decide for yourself. What do you care the most about? But beautiful display, 4K resolution. We get those extra 10 hertz. Again, the competition out there is still going to be at 60 hertz for their 4K display, so it's nice to see that Scepter's overclocking theirs a little bit when it comes to this particular monitor. So I'm pleased with it overall. I'd love to see a better stand, but that might not be a deal breaker for you if you have your own stand or you really don't care. But for me personally, happy with the image quality, the color accuracy. It did a better job than I thought gaming. That will be make or break depending on your system. If you're looking for a 4K gaming monitor, again, this one's going to be more productivity oriented. You will be able to game, but just keep in mind that there will be some limitations there because, again, it's a 4K 70 hertz display. I still think 1440p, 144 hertz is the sweet spot in regards to performance, budget, all that good stuff. But anyways, this undercuts the competition pretty substantially, very competitively priced. This is going to be the leader, the first monitor in that category if you're going to look, and you pick up those 10 hertz and the IPS display. In fact, at the time of this video, this monitor even undercuts its 27-inch sibling by a couple of bucks, so not sure how that's possible, but it's great to see.